May I? Yes. Can we bury electronic money? Huh? I'm not hearing your answer. I'm not hearing your answer. Can we bury electronic money? No. Musa alayhi salam is traveling with Khidir alayhi salam. And they come to the water, and there is a passage of water, maybe a river, and they have to cross. And the boatmen, they know Khidir alayhi salam, they invite him to come on board, and they don't charge him anything. But while crossing the river, Khidir alayhi salam goes down to the bottom of the boat, and he takes an instrument that you use in the garden, and he damages the bottom of the boat. It's called scuttling the boat. So Musa alayhi salam is very annoyed. These are poor fishermen, and they are offering us a ride on the boat. And this is what you do? Musa uses external knowledge to form a judgment. And his judgment is that this is bad, and he condemns it. So he asks, why did you do this? And Khidir alayhi salam responds and said, but you're not supposed to ask any questions. So he says, kindly excuse me, I forgot. And then after they got off the boat, and they again traveling, he came across a boy, and Khidir alayhi salam killed the boy. Now Musa is very annoyed, because remember, he accidentally killed a man in Egypt and paid a very dreadful price for that. So he condemns the action. Why did you kill the innocent boy? And Khidir alayhi salam responds and said, did I not tell you that you would not be able to show patience with me? You're not supposed to ask questions. So then Musa said, I promise I will not ask any more questions. And if I do, you can send me packing. And then they traveled for some distance and they came to a town. But the town offered no hospitality. And Musa alayhi salam is broken-hearted, no hospitality. And then he saw Khidir alayhi salam doing something strange. This town is so inhospitable, and yet there is a wall crumbling, and he pays from his own pocket for the wall to be rebuilt. You should at least ask for a refund of your money. Why did you do that? So Khidir alayhi salam said, هَذَا فِرَاقٌ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنِكَ. Now we got a part. You go your way, I go mine. But before you go, let me give you the ta'wil. Did you hear that word? The ta'wil of these events. Ta'wil is interpretation. Ayat mutashabihat, ayat of the Quran which have to be interpreted. And the knowledge with which you interpret doesn't come from the university. The knowledge with which you interpret the Quran and interpret the Hadith comes from Allah. And so when anyone makes a ta'wil of the Quran, only Allah can confirm that it is correct. And so you do not use a ta'wil of the Quran to divide the Muslims, to establish a sect, and to say, I am the one who is rightly guided on ta'wil. Rather, when you make a ta'wil of the Quran, you must be humble enough to say, Allahu Alam, Allah knows best. But if you make a ta'wil of the Quran, you should only do so when you are confident in your heart that you are giving a correct interpretation. If there's any doubt in your heart, shut up. Number two, when you give a ta'wil of the Quran, even if no one has ever said that before in all of history, this is the first time anyone is saying it, never mind. Because if it is the truth, it will survive. No one can succeed in blocking the truth. So even if you are one solitary voice in the world, like Malcolm was one solitary voice in New York, if you are one solitary voice, if you give it a will, and it is the truth, you will go in your grave, but the truth will survive. The truth will survive. So let me give you the ta'wil. Musa, before you go, that boat belonged to the poor fishermen. But in Akhir Zaman, there will be governments that will come to take everything that you have. And they will take even the little that the poor have. Even from the poor they will take it mercilessly. That is Akhir Zaman. And I damaged the boat so that when they come to seize the boat, they will not take it because it is damaged. And so what you thought was bad was in fact the opposite. Appearance and reality were opposite to each other. And so many things in the world today, the political system, the economic system, the monetary system, the educational system, in all of these, appearance and reality are opposite to each other, like the boat. And so Surah Al-Kahf is sending the mother of all messages to you. Be careful in Akhir Zaman. You must penetrate beyond the external appearance to reach the internal reality. And then you'll understand why is Africa so poor and growing poorer. How did they rip you off and are still ripping you off? Where are the scholars? Where are the scholars in Akhir Zaman? We are producing them in the hundreds of thousands. And an enormous amount of money is going to produce them, hundreds of thousands. The factories are filled with them. But how many are they who are located at Majma' al-Bahrain? It was my good fortune, for which I thank Allah, that I was the student of such a scholar who was at Majma' al-Bahrain, which is why today I can speak the way I do. And then they went to the boy, and he killed the boy. And Khidir had done something which causes great pain to Musa. Why did you do that? Innocent boy. But in Akhir Zaman, Dajjal is going to take the youth and capture them with drugs, with pornography. He will capture them and mesmerize them, and they will not be your children anymore. They will belong to him. As Allah said to Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, no, he's not your son. He's not your son, Nuh. So I killed him because he was a threat to his parents. So the message is being sent that in Akhirul Zaman, when your children become a threat to your own Iman, put them away, separate from them. And I pray that Allah might send a better child to them. Like I travel the world, and wherever I go, Allah send me wonderful sons. Yeah? In Mombasa, and not only Muslim, Christian as well. They are part of my team, and they are my sons, wonderful people. So Allah could send you another son who would be better for you in Rahmah. And that wall, there was this believer who was dying and leaving behind 2 orphans. And he had some money for his children, as their inheritance. And he could not find anyone he could trust, like Manhattan. So what did he do? He dug a hole and buried the money. And I have a question to ask Masjid Kunzi. Can I ask it? May I? Yes. Can we bury electronic money? Huh? I'm not hearing your answer. I'm not hearing your answer. Can we bury electronic money? No. So he dug a hole and he buried the money. It wasn't cryptocurrencies. It wasn't Bitcoin. It wasn't electronic money. And it wasn't paper money, bogus, fraudulent, utterly haram paper money. How could I use such language in the masjid? How do I dare to use such language in the masjid, the house of Allah? That the paper money we are using is bogus, it's fraudulent, and it's utterly haram, and it's a vehicle of our exploitation and enslavement. The reason why I can talk like that is because I know my subject. That's why I can talk like that. No one can challenge me. I'm confident about my subject. You can't bury paper money. So they buried the money and he built a wall. And I said maybe he knew that they might come with their metal sensors, you know, to check for metal coins. So if you build a structure on top of the wall, then the metal sensors would not be able to pick up that there's money underneath there. And because the wall was crumbling, Allah asked me to rebuild the wall so that the money can be protected. And when the children grow up, then that money will be there saved for them. This is the ta'wil that you didn't have the patience to bear with. And now you can go. This is the encounter of Musa alayhi salam with Khidir alayhi salam. And it is the most important passage of the whole Quran for understanding Akhirul Zaman and for responding to Akhirul Zaman. Now, to end, what do we do? What do we do? The answer is, if you do not have Nur in your heart, forget it. You cannot survive Akhirul Zaman. How do we get Nur in the heart? Answer: if you recite the Quran every day, as it ought to be recited. That is from cover to cover during 1 month. And I'm not talking about the month that has come from Dajjal, January and February and March. That is the month which has come from Dajjal. I'm talking about the month which has come from Allah, Muharram and Safar and Rabiul, the lunar month. Then when you recite the Quran as it ought to be recited, from cover to cover, every month, then the Quran can give you nur in your heart. But nur will not enter into the heart unless the heart is beating in harmony with the rest of Allah's creation. If the heart is not beating, when the heart goes out of step with the rest of Allah's creation, guess what happens? Shall I tell you? Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam warned, when the heart is beating out of step with the rest of Allah's creation, then he says, time will move faster and yet faster. So if you have the perception that time is moving faster and faster for you, I have news for you. Your heart is not beating in harmony with the rest of Allah's creation. Your heart is out of step. That's why you have the perception that time is moving faster and faster. And a whole year will pass like a month, and a whole month will pass like a week, and a whole week will pass like a day, and a whole day will pass like the amount of time it takes to kindle an hour, and a whole hour will pass like the amount of time it takes to kindle a fire. But when your heart begins to beat in harmony with the rest of Allah's creation, then nur can enter into your heart. They don't teach this in the Darul Uloom. I'm sorry to raise my voice, but my anger is so great. My anger is so great at this, the collapse of Islamic scholarship in Akhirul Zaman. We're producing hundreds of thousands of them from the Darul Uloom. It makes no difference, none. What we need is a Khidir, and we're not producing the Khidir. And when you recite the Quran over a period of 1 month, when the moon is seen, you begin. And by the time the month has ended, you complete. If you recite the Quran as it ought to be recited, and I don't have the time to deliver that lecture, maybe on another occasion before I leave Mombasa, we can give that lecture. If you recite the Quran as it ought to be recited, your heart will beat in harmony with the system of time that Allah has given for His entire world, creation. And when your heart is beating like that, nur will enter into your heart. And when nur enters into your heart, you will then be able to see the strategies of Dajjal. He will not deceive you. You will not be deceived by the world of appearances. You will recognize the reality of things, and then you'll be able to take appropriate action. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might bless all those who now return to Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran for guidance in Akhirul Zaman. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.